Hi folks, so as you guys know, I do my new moon videos after a new moon, and we had a new moon roughly 24 hours ago in the sign of Leo. I'm doing this video just about as Mercury's preparing to go into Virgo. This new moon, Virgo is the next sign from Leo, and this new moon that occurred yesterday at 7:42 p.m. Pacific time, August the 18th, the time and date will be in the subject area once I'm done processing this video, was conjunct Mercury. So the sun and the moon were together, and Mercury was right next to them, and the moon right after the new moon would have conjuncted Mercury and moved forward. The moon moves faster than Mercury, and so it is a new moon in the sign of Leo that is conjunct the planet of communication and transaction and contracts and processing, mental processing, the gathering of data and facts and information, and either cognition or else communication and transfer of information, increase in understanding, our mind trying to get a sense of where things are at, and using communication, using words, using language to make sense of things, to convey sense, to try to connect with people, etc. As you guys know, we are very much in a cycle where we have a certain amount of energy, warmth, vitality, temper, assertion, assertive power, even aggression with Mars in the sign of Aries, a certain selfishness, some of which may well be necessary, a lot of which may well be necessary at present till the end of this year. And this selfishness is both at odds with and is challenging, is both challenging and pushing us. It's challenging us and pushing us to get done with wrapping up energies that have been in play for us since the middle of July 2018, so that we can really lean into new energies that have been in play for us since July the 5th of this year, but then we'll start up again in earnest on September the 30th. Indeed, for a few clients, seems to have started up already. And so these regular transits, like the ones in Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio, are somehow punctuating that and giving the energy of the time an appropriate color, a certain scent. And so even though Mercury moves out of Leo and into Virgo today, and the Sun moves out of Leo and into Virgo on August the 22nd, depending on where you are, give or take a day, by the end of this week, the next 4 weeks now still have a Leonine imprint, because the next 4 weeks, 28 days from yesterday, August the 18th, are part of a Leo new moon cycle. And so issues related to self-assertion, again, very much in line with Mars and Aries. It's a supportive influence to this kind of self-assertion. Preserving what is valuable and important to us, taking pride in who we are. It's interesting, the signs of Cancer and Leo, and Cancer is one of the signs. Cancer is the sign, wherever Cancer sits in your chart, or Cancerian values are those that we've been asked to lean into since the middle of July 2018. And if you look at issues related to leadership globally, really pretty much, it's Cancerian values that have been in short supply, and that's where the answer lies: maternal nurture, protecting your brood. It's not the most objective of energies. It's a highly subjective energy, highly protective, highly emotionally charged, heart-centered. And both Cancer and Leo, both the signs of Cancer and Leo, share this heart center, share this sense of preservation of what is valuable, except that one does it from a much more arguably volatile leadership, assertive place, the sign of Cancer, strangely enough, whereas the sign of Leo does it from a it's a more masculine energy. It's not quite as feisty. The sign of Cancer is often given, even though the sign of Cancer is a water sign, is often given this kind of wishy-washy characterization. And the sign of Cancer, like the sign of Libra and Capricorn and Aries, are cardinal signs. They're leadership signs. They are signs that set the agenda, not signs that preserve. Whereas Leo, while it is a masculine sign, is a much more preserving, a fixed sign, a slower to move sign. With the Leo new moon conjunct Mercury, excuse me, mosquito. With the Leo new moon conjunct Mercury, strangely satisfying to swat a mosquito. Although they are all over, I thought we were done. Strangely enough, with the new moon conjunct Mercury, I would imagine that issues related to communication will be front and center over the next 4 weeks. And interestingly, with the transit of the planets into the sign of Virgo, some of the communication is going to start becoming meticulous in terms of its processing of data and information and gathering and organizing of facts. However, whether the energy over the next 4 weeks for you is Yang, which has you communicating with others in order to put certain things in place and get things wrapped up that have been in place since July 2018. As I said, the sign of Cancer is where the eclipses of leaning into have been. And so this quality of nurture, feeling, heart space, protecting what is important to you, coupled with, in the sign of Leo, a supportive influence with the planet of self-assertion, Mars and Aries. It's funny. The Mercury is very, very close to the Sun because it's just a degree or two away from the Sun, and I can tell even when I'm communicating that Mercury's combust. You know, in a couple of weeks' time, Mercury is going to start to become increasingly more visible. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the communication. It wouldn't surprise me if we look at the next 4 weeks as if heading towards the full moon, there's a lot more going on that may involve technology, Mercury, communication, processing of information, gathering of the data that is much more internal, only to be after the full moon replaced by energies that are much more external and much more externally communicative. Let that be a guideline. Well, let that be something you observe. Also keep in mind that we're in a communication cycle that is very much related to the sign of Cancer and where it sits in your chart. So the sign of Cancer and where it sits in your chart is whatever it is, the skills that we've been asked to develop or opportunities we're here to avail of, or a set of principles that we're asked to, or a set of muscles that we've been asked to build since the middle of July 2018 that we've been weak in. And both in terms of the eclipses that are wrapping up in the second half of this year, but also the communication cycle, which means almost kind of a mini project that has been taken on that is in place till October the 25th through the means of communication and cognition and plans and contracts and documentation. And you know, it has this kind of finishing things up, protecting oneself where protection is needed, availing of opportunities, filling out forms, getting information to people, transacting, communicating. It has that kind of feel to it. And certainly between now and I would say the third week of September, September 17th or 18th or thereabouts, certainly between now and then, it's sort of a final set of actions related towards finishing up some of these communication items, as I mentioned to you in my last video. And you can look at this video in conjunction with the last video I did, which was the Mercury in Leo video, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. It's almost as if the table has now been laid out and we have to finish the meal, and it has this kind of finishing the meal quality. Now, as far as the communication is concerned, certain aspects of this communication, as I was starting to say before I digressed and wanted to fill in all these other details and colors, because this video, for people who watch my channel regularly, I apologize, some of the content is repetitive, but I kind of have to because sometimes new people are watching these videos too, so it's a question of how do I fill out as many details as I can in these videos. Some of the communication energies at play will be Yang, which may involve you reaching out to people, you hearing from people, you putting certain things in place to, again, finish up energies and tasks that have been in place since July 2018. And some of these, especially initially, may be Yin. And by that I mean you gathering data and information and doing communication, doing a little bit of surveillance or some stealthy work, or gathering information as opposed to communicating about information. Um, um, let me see if I can give some examples here. Um, it's almost like the need for your mind to make sense of things in order to get them wrapped up. It's the need for you may have a sense of, I need to get this done, but in order to get this done, have this communication or have this conversation with so and such, or in order to send them this paperwork, or in order to sign on something, I need some information. And you may initially, for the next 2 weeks, have a certain plan of action that is more about just making sure that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, all your ducks in a row, you have all the information you need, you've done the research you need to do, you've reached out to the various parties to figure out that you know what's going on before you finally kind of hammer it out. With whoever that is. So it's not a strict rule or guideline, it's a new moon conjunct Mercury, so the idea of communication, the idea of using data, facts, and information in order to get things completed, whether you are proactive about using it or whether it comes to you or whether data is revealed or however you do it, it's very much on the cards. It's like, for people who work in corporations or involved with project management, it's you're very much in the implementation phase. You're not gathering requirements anymore. You're not really prototyping or observing how things are going. You are now finishing up the project, and that means you're in completion mode, and that means that it's like the tools are out and you want to go ahead and finish everything up. Now this notion of finishing everything up, as I said, for some people it's a wrapping up of a certain type of energies, and for some people it's a wrapping up of something that's actually physical, like a relationship or something monetary or property or something along those lines. So you'll gauge what it is that you're meant to lean into and what you're not meant to. You'll gauge whether it's a sense of energies to adopt or not. But there's no question that over the next 4 weeks, this is what I was looking for in this video and circling around all this time. Thanks for your patience. Luckily, it's not too long. It's only, you know what? First, I'm going to do this. If you like this video, which I'm not sure you will until I give you this bit of information that I'm about to in a second. If you like this video, feel free to like it on Facebook, comment on it, share the video with people, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And when you subscribe to it, you'll see this bell icon that appears next to it. So if you click on it, you'll be notified whenever I do new videos. My contact information is in the subject area, so if you want to reach out to me to inquire about rates for a reading or rates for an easy-to-read version of the chart, which will show you which sign is in which house of your chart and what that stands for. That way, when I'm talking about signs of Cancer and Leo, it's a little bit more specific to you. You're welcome to inquire about those rates. In order to create that chart, you will need to know your birth time, but do not send me your birth time. First, make sure you're comfortable with the rates and the services I'm providing before you send me any personal information. Look at all the cat hair on my shirt. Valentine, talking about leonine things. I was petting Valentine a few minutes, my cat, before I came into this. Okay, here's the epiphany I was looking for. However you choose to do it over the next 4 weeks, and this is something I almost titled my Mercury in Leo video that I did last, Express Yourself. This new moon in Leo is an Express Yourself 4-week cycle. It may be that the initial period of this, the initial week, 10 days, 2 weeks as you head to the Pisces full moon, has a bit more of a data gathering quality, even though I have a feeling that the data gathering, maybe just about another week or so, but it'll start up sooner. Whether initially in this 4-week cycle you're preparing to express yourself or whether you start the process right away, somewhere this idea of expression, writing, communicating, whether you over the next few weeks, over the next 4 weeks, and actually because after a Leo cycle we're going to go into a Virgo cycle, it's really interesting to me that in the wrapping up of energy since the middle of July 2018, mercurial things right now are playing such an important part. And they will till about the middle of October, because we have the new moon on August the 18th in Leo, then we have a new moon in Virgo on August the 17th. And while Leo is about pride and protection and heart and creativity, some of you may be communicating about things that are near and dear to your heart in terms of things you love to do. Romance, connecting with people, connection, sexuality, flirtation. Although under COVID, I don't know who's going out on a date with who, whatever, however, irrespective. I will leave that to your lives. But when children, the inner child, the heart space, connecting with things you love, hobbies, sports, creativity, creative work. It could be that this new moon ushers in communication about these topics. That might be relevant to a few of you, some of you. But somewhere this feeling of I've been carrying things on my chest and I really need to, with the sign of Leo, it's about what is in your heart and feeling like you're comfortable in your own skin and are self-expressed and are capable of being self-expressed. And the sign of Leo has a very comfortable take it or leave it quality. This is who I am. I don't chase after things. I don't grab. I don't really feel like I need to. I'm sitting here proud with my mane or my tail or whatever it is that I'm sitting here with, and looking regal and king or queen of the jungle, and not arrogant, but just comfortable with who I am and in a place of expression and a place of completeness. The sign of Leo is a sign that teaches us about attraction, not chasing. And so who you have to be an attractive person often is someone who is relaxed, comfortable in their own skin and doesn't try too hard, just has an awareness of what's meant for me will be there, but at the same time seeks to be complete. Hey, I just want to convey this to you. Here it is. I listen, I'll express, we'll be in conversation, but there are lines. The sign of Virgo, where the energies are moving to by the end of this week and we'll have the next new moon, is really all about data and information, making sense of things and making sure everything slots into place, and utility, and that data, information, and relationships can be used to productive ends. Now, with the sign of Virgo, you always have to be careful that it isn't being used to productive, selfish, mundane ends. I have to get these things done. Who or what can I use to get this done? Delegation. So you've got, a certain amount of self-interest comes into play with the sign of Virgo in the execution, in the efficient execution of one's day-to-day activities. But very interesting that the completion of energies, activities, tasks, lessons, the laying of boundaries that go back to the middle of July 2018 and certainly January 2019 should have to do with our ability to communicate and our cognitive ability, our ability to look at data and information, make sense of it, and dot the I's and cross the T's and sign the contracts or reach agreements or finish things up accordingly. It's not an emotional completion just yet. It's not even an aggressive completion just yet. There's nothing in the energy about throwing caution to the wind or it's all about trying to be heard, trying to understand, and using mind, mental processes, and communication to make sure that what needs to be complete. You know what it is like? Guys, it's like when we look at communication, it's like you have 3 chapters left in a book. And it's about getting those to your editor, and once it's edited, getting those to the printer. And not only finishing the book, finishing the entire process. But it does have this writing communication quality to it. Okay? Now I feel a little bit more satisfied as far as this reading is concerned. I did mention, I know in the Mercury Leo video, I did not mention the creative work and the heart space and things you love to do, so I did mention that here. And yeah, I'm kind of very taken by this notion or idea that in order to wrap up energies so that we're free to move forward, a lot of the work that has to be done is about saying, it's about saying what you feel needs to be said in order to feel complete. It's about saying all those things or communicating all those things that have been in your heart that you've been sitting on. But because it is in those final communications that data and information will emerge that may complete things for you or disturb you enough to make you realize that certain things are incomplete and then take action to complete them. And those actions could be fiery, those actions could be assertive, those actions could be aggressive. But it is going to be in right now over the next 4 weeks with the Leo cycle, communicating in a heartfelt way, getting clear in your mind, no matter what. Leo is a sign of courage and strength. And so some of it is getting clear in your own mind as to how much longer you're really going to let external factors and other people tell you what you need to do in order to feel complete. At some point you might just go, you know what, I don't care what advice I'm getting from everyone. Here's what I'm going to do in order to feel complete. Because until I do it, I'm just not going to be at peace. So if I break my nose doing it, or if this goes awry, or whatever it is, I'm going to take responsibility for creating your own happiness and peace of mind, even if in taking actions related to that, and they could be feisty actions to some extent sometimes, even if you end up stepping into a hornet's nest, because it may be that you suspect that there's a hornet's nest there, and you need that validation, you need that proof, and you pick up the phone and you call someone or you talk to someone or you get in there and you're just like, yeah, I knew it. Now I've got to finish this. I've got to do this in order to complete this and protect myself. So clearly, when it comes to medical matters, legal matters, financial matters, consult an appropriate professional expert. Do not go based on astrologers or tarot readers or YouTube professionals or people who are posting general videos online. Use the right expertise, whether it has to do with physical, financial, legal, mental well-being. Consult appropriate physicians or professionals. But some aspect of the energy that requires completion in a Leonine way. And that's a kind of a solo energy. That's a kind of a getting connected with what you really feel like you need to do in order to get complete with something, taking responsibility for it and being in communication over it. And either shit will hit the fan or it won't. Chances are it will, because we still have a few months to complete this energy. But I would suspect that it might in ways that you suspect, but have not yet really explored, have held back on. But to some extent, we've got to get to that finish line, and that requires Leonine courage, and for some reason, it requires communication. Currently heartfelt, and soon as the next few weeks go by, and certainly after the September 17th Virgo new moon, factual. Okay? I will leave it at this. You have my contact information, blah, 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 blah. I put it in the middle of this video sneakily this time. All right. I think the next videos I'm going to do are going to be about Venus and Cancer. I was going to try and do that yesterday, but I didn't get to it. But it actually made sense to me to do Venus and Cancer, and I also want to cover the Capricorn energy, Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn. Quite frankly, that is where the most intense energy is in the chart right now. So, and Venus and Cancer and those planets in Capricorn, those two videos will go well side by side, because Venus and Cancer soon is going to oppose those planets in Capricorn. So those are going to be my next two videos. Look out for those. If you subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon, you'll be notified when I'm doing them. And we will leave it at this. Happy new moon. At least celebrate the energy a new moon brings and the vitality it brings, the energy it brings. Heading to the new moon, you might have really felt quite depleted and quite exhausted. And over the next couple of days, more and more energy and vitality and Leonine. I'm going to take the bull by the horns, or I'm going to sit regally and wait till that fly gets close enough to me, or rabbit, to pounce on it. Whatever your strategy is going to be, I will leave it at that. Thanks, bye.